Hello, 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 beautiful people. Yana Kasperczak, your spiritual awakening core energy coach, coming into you live from Ontario, where it's nice and cold. And my soul's purpose is to help you get your shit together so you can break free from the mental prison that you find yourself in, as we all do. We're all human beings, and it's very normal to find ourselves locked in that mind of ours, because it's that powerful, and learn how to use it for us and not against us. And so that way you can learn to love your life and be proud of your life every single day, even if it's just a little bit of proudness that day where you might be having a rough day or woke up on the wrong side. So to help you do that, today on Tuesdays I go live on Storytime with Yana Kasperczak on my personal page, as you can tell, on Facebook, but I'm saying this just in case I'm sure, not in case, as I will be sharing this podcast, this video on the podcast, to help you do that, to help you live a more positive life, and the positive light. We need to become aware of the negativity that we all have within us, and it comes through in forms of words. Now, these words are the words that we say out loud, and then the words that we think quietly to ourselves but don't say those words. So I'm going to share the 22 phrases. There's a lot more phrases that are negative, but these are the ones that I hear quite often. And I'll share a little bit about as to why they are negative, and also help you understand how you can turn it around and be a positive one. Rewrite it or re-say it in a positive way, because in order for all of us to become positivity, we need to understand what is negativity and how it's coming through us. Because it's coming through us for the benefit of us to understand what it is that we're saying, and also for the benefit of other people. But because these phrases have been used decades after decades, they might seem and sound and sometimes feel positive, but they are not. So before we go any further, I want to make sure that I have my my video up and running on my platform, so that way I can see any comments that are coming through. Okay, so here we are. The first one I want to start off with is, I'll try my best. Now, as you can imagine, it sounds very positive to many people because it comes across as I am trying, I'm doing my best, or I'll try to do my best. It really is not positive, and here's why. This phrase suggests lack of commitment, because the word try is not a committed word. It's not the word that is rooted in commitment. It is a word that is almost like, I'll do my best, but if I fail, I won't punish myself. So that's also where it's coming from. Have a little bit of fear might be in the back of that phrase, where if I say I try, or I'm trying to do my best, I don't have to take full responsibility in case I do fail, because all of us do learn as we're trying. And eventually, when we try it enough, we switch it on to I am doing my best. When we literally own it, I am doing my best, not I'll try to do my best. I am doing my best. And you know it's hard to say I am doing my best when you know you are not doing your best. And that's why we say I try to do my best, or I will try to do my best. Instead of saying I will try to do my best, saying I am going to be doing my best, where there is actual commitment saying that I am going to do my best. And also, when you're not doing your best, you're going to feel a lot of guilt and shame, because you have promised to do your best and you are not doing your best. So therefore, more of us than not will say, I will try to do my best, so we don't have to commit. And it also expresses lack of confidence in there, lack of commitment, lack of confidence, which leaves quite a bit of room for failure. Okay, now the second one is, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Somebody else has it worse. How many of you have said that phrase or thought that phrase? You can put your hand up. I know I have. And what it does is it's minimizing problems that you may be going through, and you may be dismissing valid concerns or emotions, downplaying the significance of the issue. Meaning that whatever issue or challenge or experience that you're going through or dealing with, saying something like this phrase, it's not that bad, you're downplaying it, you're minimizing your experience. And this is what a lot of good girls will do, because they don't want to make you feel bad about what they're going through. So they'll say, it's not that bad, it's okay, it's fine. Whereas that is not the reality. The reality is that thing that they're going through or experiencing might be the worst thing that they have been going through or experiencing up until this point in their life. And by minimizing and downplaying yourself, you're not doing anyone any justice. So own it. Instead of saying it's not that bad, somebody else has it worse. Don't compare who has it worse than you. It might be helpful in the moment, but you're not doing yourself, because we're not thinking about anybody else here. We're thinking and talking about you, that you're not here minimizing what you're going through. And by minimizing it and downplaying it, you are less likely to do something about it. But when you take ownership and say, it's pretty freaking bad, this is the worst that I have been through, and taking ownership of that. Yes, this is the worst that I have been going through, that I have been experiencing. Can you actually do something about it? The thoughts that are coming through that I want to share with you guys, it's like when you have an addiction and you don't admit that there's a problem. And until you admit that there's a problem and you own that problem, which you know the reason why you're not owning that problem or whatever it is that you're going through is because you're avoiding feeling bad and you're avoiding suffering, instead of what is actually happening is you continue to suffer a little bit every single day. It's like drinking poison a little bit every single day. And until you face that demon head on and say, it is bad, and I can't blame anyone, but all I can do is I can take ownership of whatever it is here in front of me and deal with it. Because nobody else can fix it for me. And even if somebody does come in and fix it for me, for you, it is not going to be in the way that you want it to be done and fixed. It is going to be in the way that they want it. So that means that if you want it done right, you got to do it yourself. And it starts with you owning it and taking responsibility for whatever it is, but not taking responsibility for other people's mistakes and failures. Understanding the difference can be challenging. And that's why I will always recommend for you to have a support fortress, a go-to person and go-to people to help you with clarifying with whatever it is that you're going through. So that was number 2. It's not that bad. Number 3, I'm not as good as you. But this I hear all the time when we downplay ourselves and say, I'm not as good as you. But this means you are, number 1, undermining your own abilities before you share something probably quite valuable. So by you saying, I'm not as good as you, but, and then you share, whatever follows the but, people are not going to hear. So what it does is your thoughts diminish credibility and your self-worth right after that. If you know you got some value and you have something of value to say, you do not need to say, I'm not as good as you, but you just say what you need to say. In a way, what that phrase implies as well is, I'm not as good as you, but you are, I know the intention with that one might be to raise the other person up and make them feel better about what you're going to say, but that is not the reality. The reality is you're seen and felt as a weakling, and you know you're not. You know that you got a lot of value. You know that whatever it is that follows the but is worthwhile. It's worth saying. And by you saying that, you're taking who you are and you're almost like setting it on fire in front of someone else by trying to make them feel good, and in reality you are not going to be doing that. I see Laura is in here. Laura says, thank you for giving us permission to be honest about our feelings. We get our power back when we own our feelings, let ourselves process. 100%. 100%. We gotta own our feelings. We gotta own our thoughts. We gotta take ownership of everything, but of ourselves and our internal world, and not, that does not mean you're going to be excusing everyone around you and their actions and their behaviors. Absolutely not. But that external world can help you to understand your internal one, such as these phrases that are actually rooted in the good girl molds that we all have, that we all received, all of us. Very few might not have, but they received different type of a good girl mold. But at the end, we're all trying to be good. Good morning, Joe Myers says hello, good morning. Okay, so the next one, we were at number 3. Number 4, I'll do it because no one else will. That's sacrifice right there, guys. I'll do it because nobody else will. You know, I'll do it because I have to. Not because I want to, but because I have to. It is not much different than saying yes to something that you do not want to say yes to, that does not align with who you are or where you're trying to go, that does not align with you, and you saying yes to it regardless. It is going to have a negative effect on you, and it will bring you further away from who you are actually meant to be, which you're doing that work on it every single day. So assuming sole responsibility may lead to burnout and perpetuates a lack of delegation or teamwork. So, like I was saying yes to something that you don't want to say yes to, and I'll repeat the phrase, I'll do it because no one else will. It's also passive aggressive, by the way, depending on how the content where it's said. If somebody asks, let's say you're in a group meeting and something is being asked and no one is raising their hand, nobody wants to do it, and you say, I'll do it because nobody else will. You know, I'll sacrifice, I'll be the hero here, I'll do because nobody else will. You are taking sole responsibility. That means nobody else is going to help you. Nobody else is going to do it but you. So you're accepting sole responsibility now for this thing that you said yes to, that you didn't even want to do in the first place. And because you already have a lot of things on your list, on your to-do list, on your own plans and on your own goals and on your own dreams and for yourself, that by you saying yes to others, that is not going to benefit you on your own journey, you're taking away from yourself and from your future. And that's why I refer to this phrase as self-sacrifice. Number 5, I must be crazy, but. So first of all, you just called yourself crazy. You belittled yourself in front of someone or even in front of yourself. And you're about to say yes to something, right? I must be crazy, but. Discrediting your own ideas with self-deprecation can hinder their perceived value of your contributions. You are here to contribute to the world through being the best version of yourself. And in order for that to take place, you need to know who yourself is, who you are. Most people do not know who they are. They believe and think they do, but they don't actually know who they truly are. And just to name one thing about what makes us us is our values. And I was so guilty of this one. I will be the first one to admit that I believed that the values that I had were my values and they were my top values, and only through working with a coach was I able to really understand that the values that I carried and believed were my main and core values were, number 1, were not my values at all. There were expectations that I believed that I was supposed to have these things as values that makes up a good girl, a good human being, a good wife, a good caretaker, and whatnot. And so that's number 1. And number 2, some of those values were actually quite outdated. They were more like hopes of what I wanted to be or who I wanted to be, but not who I actually was at the core. Who I was, and still part of me wanted to be that way, but I was no longer that person, nor would I actually want to be that person anymore, because I outgrew her numerous times. So this phrase, I must be crazy, but discrediting your own ideas because you're about to say something amazing, amazing idea, amazing thought, amazing maybe plan or amazing goal, but by discrediting yourself with this negative phrase in the beginning of your amazing and great idea, your great idea no longer has its greatness in it. It's like a balloon that has a hole poked in it that you cannot reinflate anymore. So whatever it is that you have that follows the but, and the but itself is a but. It butts in there and it rips the whole sentence apart. So if you're going to apologize, and that's another thing I want to talk about for a second, that if you're giving an apology to someone, apology should never follow a but, because it's not an apology. Apology is you understanding what you're apologizing for, and the but, that word but itself, should not be in there, because now you're just trying to excuse what you did in the first place and turn that around. I'm sorry, but, and you know it doesn't feel like an apology. Apology is, I'm sorry that I did this and this because it made, or because of whatever, right? Even because itself is in a way an excuse. I did this because, but saying I'm sorry that I did this. I understand that it made you feel this, and I see that, and it made me feel this. And you're really talking about feelings and emotions, because this is how we all communicate. And you're not taking that opportunity to unload your own traumas in this process. Okay, it's like shifting the blame on the other person. Now, tag, you're it, right? Instead of sometimes just saying, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. And that's it. That's it. Stop it at that. Without the follow-up, without, explaining why you're sorry, even though in most cases, that has tremendous power. And I highly encourage everyone to practice that power, that if you apologize, be very clear about where you're apologizing about, because that will give the other person the opportunity to say, that's not really what I was looking for an apology for. But because you took time to process, now they took time to process that, they might decided that it was a different thing that you needed to apologize for. And it opens up the door for a conversation, a healthy communication, not for an attack. And if you're feeling attacked, the best thing to do is usually to walk away and not engage. Number 6, but don't just walk away without saying anything. You got to let the other person know. Number 6, I should have known better. So this one right here is usually, it's coming from the past. I said this, I shouldn't have done that, I should have known better. Dwelling on the past mistakes without focusing on lessons learned can cultivate self-blame and guilt. So with that phrase, I should have known better, you are punishing yourself, you're blaming yourself, and it's very clear and evident. We all do this. Every human being is self-deprecating, is the phrase that's coming to mind. So we all blame ourselves, we all shame ourselves, we all guilt trip ourselves, and that is what we've all been conditioned to punish ourselves instead of actually learning the lesson. So this phrase, I should have known better, the word should itself is, I like to say when I hear a lot of shoulds, and I do quite often, practically in every session I have with clients, is I should, and I remind them to stop shoulding all over themselves. And that's why I say it's like self-deprecating, where you're shoulding and you're shitting all over yourself, quite literally. And it brings you down. It does not feel good. So it is only understandable that after such confrontation with yourself or with someone else, when you say, I should have known better and I didn't, which is very, very level 1 energy, by the way, which brings you into the victim state, into victim energy, and it can be really difficult to climb out of that for some people, where they can't stop this shooting train that keeps shooting on them and shooting. You start with one, I should have known better, and then it goes to the next one and to the next one, and I should have done this and I should have done that, and I'm such a horrible person, I'm not good enough, I'm worthless, and I'm just, why bother? So as you can see, this can spiral out of control really, really quickly and really easily, and it's not going to benefit you in the long run, and it's not going to benefit anyone else around you, because your energy and the state of energy that you're in, it is going to transfer to everyone around you, whether you want it or not. And most people are not aware of this energy transfer, and which also means that they're not even prepared to protect themselves from your negative energy, from your negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions, that it goes right into them, right through them. And it also goes for, you become the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. So if you have a lot of people around you at work who are negative, and this seems to be a norm nowadays, and I kid you not, this is like a normal way of existing for a lot of workplaces, where everyone is just negative and they think that they're being positive. I know that I believed for a long time that I was a very, very positive person and very uplifting, and I used all of these phrases. Only when I started going through coach training and started paying attention to language, to words, to thoughts, not just my own, but others, and really starting to understand the language. And when I became the word police, because certain words almost started to become triggers, and because they become triggers, I look into that trigger and take my time to understand why. And by taking time to understand, I can help everyone else around me for the most part to understand. And I say for the most part because there are some people who are just simply resistant to change, and they might think and believe that they want to change and hear what wrong they're doing, but they really don't, because their mind just shuts down, and it shuts down where they go right into the victim and they can't hear anything. So that means that they're not learning. They have the walls up, or they're going to level 2 where they become a fighter and they feel like they need to protect and defend themselves. Laura says, I love that. Stop shooting all over yourselves. Yeah. Because this is exactly what ends up happening. We end up shooting or shitting all over ourselves by saying I should have, or I could have, I could have. Those are very low energy, low vibration words. This one right here, number 7, I feel like it should almost be a swear word at this point. And you know that people, when they say it, they're lying, that it's not true. And this is the phrase: I'm fine. Or it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. You're allowing someone to walk all over you, pretending it's fine and normalizing their behavior when very clearly a boundary has been crossed. Nothing is fine. The word fine itself says, I am not fine, I am not okay. Or it is not fine, it's not okay. And this one I might not hear it in, actually I do hear it in the coaching stories when a story is being shared with me. And this phrase, it's fine, or I'm fine, or it's okay, or I'm okay, where it is not the truth. Using this phrase to avoid confrontation may lead to unresolved issues and unexpected feelings. This phrase, and that's why I say it's almost like a swear word, almost like saying, fuck off, I'm fine, leave me alone, right? Might as well say that. I know very few people like confrontation. Even those that come across that they like confrontation, they usually don't. It takes a true narcissist, and there's not that many true narcissists. When you meet one, you know it. Only, like I said, it only takes a true narcissist to love confrontation, to seek it out, and to thrive in it. Whereas the rest of us, we don't like confrontation and we'll try to avoid it at all costs possible. But not all confrontation is actually bad. By you simply saying, no, it's not fine, it's not okay, and then speaking your truth, it is not always going to turn into something confrontational. It might, but not always. And through practice can you truly start to understand how to express yourself, and for whatever it is that you're expressing yourself and standing up and speaking your truth, for it to not turn out to be confrontational. Hey Rebecca, good morning. Again, it's been a minute. Another one, number 8. As you can imagine, I hear these all the time, and that's why I have a list of these. But also a list for myself to remind myself to not use these phrases. So number 8, I can't complain. Why not? Why can't you complain? Maybe I don't want to complain, or there's no reason to complain, but even those phrases are not healthy. If you have something to say it. Don't say, I can't complain, or I don't want to complain, or it's not time to complain. Saying I can't complain, while meant to convey contentment, that you're content with what you are going through, what you're dealing with, normalizing it might dismiss the validity of your feelings or concerns. Once again, you good girls, such as myself, where I still am learning and picking up all of these phrases and catching them. This phrase I haven't used in a long time, but I hear it quite often, that I can't complain. Somebody else has it worse than me. I can't complain. I don't want to complain. I'm not a complainer, but it's not about complaining. It's about expressing. There's a difference. If you're complaining, that means you just want to get things off your chest. You want to unload, and that's it. And for no one to come and tell you what to do about it. So it's not replacing that word complain, just simply saying, I just want to unload. I just want to, share without any feedback. I just want to speak up. I want to unload and release what is been bottling and happening inside of me, which might sound like a complaint, but it's just unloading and releasing. But if you want something done about it, then you can state it. So number 9 is very similar to the one I mentioned earlier, is I'm not as good as you, but this one is a little bit different. I'm not an expert, but prefacing statements with self-doubt diminishes the impact of your expertise and knowledge. I want to remind all of you what the definition of an expert is. And definition of an expert is someone who is a few steps ahead of you. And that means, let's use simple numbers. A grade 5 is an expert to grade 4 and to grade 3 and to grade 2 and 1 and JK and SK. Because they're a few steps ahead. They've been there, they've done that. That's what makes an expert in this field. Now, that doesn't mean that you are an expert in everything. There's always going to be someone who knows a little bit more than you in this field, and that means that they're an expert when it comes to, in comparison to you. But you are still an expert. And saying a phrase such as, I'm not an expert, but, there's no need to say that and how do I put it? And deflate your balloon and put yourself down in front of someone and just say what you want to say. It's almost like you're asking for permission, and at the same time almost saying that I might say something wrong, but by saying I'm not an expert, they can't use it against you. But regardless of that, people want to use something against you, they will. Nothing is going to stop them. So stop putting yourself down, own your shit, own your expertise, and speak it loudly and proudly. Laura said venting is okay. Yes, complaining is basically venting. And venting, releasing, unloading, that is important. That is so healthy. We all need to do that. Each and every one of us. We can't bottle things up. And if we keep bottling things up, it makes me think of the experiment I'm sure all of you have seen. And if you have children who are really curious, I'm sure they wanted to try this at home. But when you take Mentos and you put that inside a Coca-Cola bottle, that's what it ends up happening when you keep bottling things up. You explode everywhere, on everyone, and you are literally leaking energy. So it's important to vent, to release, to unload, so you can then pick yourself up and Almost like start new, start fresh. Next one, number 10. I'm just lucky. I'm just so lucky. Aren't I? This really is saying that the things that have happened in your life, that you had nothing to do with them, that they're just going to happen for you. Whereas that is not the reality. That is not the truth. Even if it might seem like things came to you so easily and effortlessly, that does not mean that you didn't put a lot of work and energy into whatever it is that came to you so easily and effortlessly. You might have just spent a lot of time or energy aligning yourself with your true self, and everything just starts to flow easily and effortlessly. And you might start to think that I'm so lucky, but it's not luck. It's you. Attributing success solely to luck undermines your effort, skills, and hard work that have helped you to get to this point. Those people who have it easy, that everything seems to happen for them now, but do you know what they have lived through? Do you know what helped them to get to this I'm so lucky state and way of living and being? You don't. And you probably wouldn't even want to know. And you won't be able to know it all. So don't take away and undermine your success by saying, I'm just lucky. And the word just itself is not justifiable. It's minimizing. It's almost like should and could. And at the same time, could be a filler word. Number 11, it's not that important. It probably is. It probably is very important, but you're downplaying the importance of your own needs or desires, which may lead to negative self-care. Stop downplaying yourself. You are worth so much more. And I know sometimes you can't help it. It is the default program. But what you can do is when you catch it, it's like a mosquito. When you see a mosquito in your house, you're going to follow it around and you're going to make sure that you get rid of that. Now, depending on what kind of person you are, most people will kill the mosquito, but very few people will try to trap it and release it outside. Thank you very much. I'm the person that I'm not going to let the mosquito live. All the other bugs, yes. Mosquitoes, I'm okay with. So saying it's not that important, to me, it clearly says it is important, because you would not be using the word important. And this will help you in your relationships as well. By hearing what the other person is saying, by listening to the words and phrases, you can really understand what's important to them and what they might be allowing you to get away with by downplaying certain things that are important to them. So if you hear that from other people, open up that door for them to actually ask them. I've learned something about language. And the one thing I've learned about language is that when we use certain words, and especially in combination with these words, that this means that you're actually downplaying the importance of this experience or this thing. But I would love to hear why it's actually important to you, because I want to know you and understand you and who you are, so we can build something together, because we can't build without knowing and understanding each other. So by me understanding you, and by you taking the time to understand me, we can truly build something magical together. Now imagine when someone says that to you, or imagine how you could make someone feel when you say that to them. All of us want to be heard, seen, supported, understood. And the way we can do that is by opening up the door for healthy and loving communication. Laura said, we do disempower ourselves We almost believe we are supposed to, though. Yeah, that's the good girl in all of us. That we're supposed to put ourselves down to make somebody else feel better. But the reality is not that. By putting ourselves down, we make the other person feel like they have failed us. That they are not good enough. That we have to keep ourselves down. And they themselves will be doing the same thing, because all of us are here to try to help one another to feel worthy, and worthy of ourselves, worthy of love, worthy of something or someone. And by taking that power away from ourselves, as I mentioned, that energy transfers, that energy will transfer to everyone around you, including your children, where they will start disempowering themselves. And none of us want that for our kids. None of us want that for our partners. None of us want that for our friends. The true version of us, who we truly are, does not want that. So if we want to see change, we gotta be the change. We can't sit around and wait for the other person to change, or for the opportunities to come to us. Sometimes, most of the time actually, we need to go and we need to seek them out. And by, you seek and you shall find. So when you go looking for something, you will find it. If you are looking for negative things in your relationship, which is another thing I see in every relationship almost, or in many relationships, is then when you look for it, you will find it. And when you find it and you focus on that, it magnifies and it becomes such a big scary monster. But the opposite is also true. When you look for positive things in your relationship, and you start to notice positive things in your relationship, you'll start to notice more and more and more and more. And that is a monster that you want to grow and feed. And it will become, that's how you can build a relationship or rebuild a relationship, where you start to look for positives, but not just look for the positives, but acknowledge them and validate them and point them out and remind the other person that this is a positive thing, a positive trait, or something positive that I see from you, because they need it as much as you do. They are also putting themselves down, and they at the root do not believe that they're good enough or worthy enough. So if you want change in your life and in your relationships, you got to start with you and not expect it from others. Number 12, I might be wrong. Constantly questioning your own judgment can affect your self-confidence and decision-making abilities, where you start to also see and notice the wrong. I might be wrong, or you might be right. But wrong or right, sometimes it doesn't even matter. So saying such a phrase, I might be wrong, how does that make you feel in a situation? Especially when it comes to conflict. Because usually this is the phrase that will come through when there's conflict. That, I might be wrong, but I'm seeing this, or I'm sensing this, or I'm doing this, or I'm noticing this. By even, like as I was talking about earlier, if you focus on negative, you see the negative. So if you're focusing on the wrong, you will see the wrong. And when you're saying the phrase, I might be wrong, you can bring yourself into a place where you will be more wrong than right, by simply focusing on the wrong, by simply saying, I might be wrong. But instead of saying that, I might be right. I might be right, or I am right. Now that one might come across as very self-centered and I'm the shit, and sometimes it is helpful, but at the same time it might not be. This is where judging the situation by the situation itself. Number 13, I'll do whatever you want. Self-sacrificing. Good girls are so good at this one. I'll do whatever you want. I'll do anything you want just to make you happy. Sacrificing personal preferences to please others can lead to unfulfilling relationships and self-neglect. Doing whatever somebody else wants when you don't want to do it, it is not going to benefit anyone. What is going to benefit everyone is you doing what you want and them doing what they want within restrictions, within reason, depending on the situation, of course. But I'll do whatever you want. It almost sounds like begging and trying to save something that might not be salvageable. And I hear this, sadly, too often, where women especially will say, I'll do whatever you want just to make you happy. I'll do whatever you want, just please don't get upset at me, or please don't leave me. Where is your power? When did you decide to give your power away and to give it away to this individual or to this experience? When? How has it been benefiting you? Because in the way it has been benefiting you, if it wasn't, you wouldn't be doing it. But in some way, it has been benefiting you, meaning that there is something that you have been getting from it, consciously or unconsciously, where whether you're fully aware of what you've been getting in return, or not fully aware of what you're getting in return, but there's something that you're getting in return, some kind of validation. That's what it often is. Some kind of validation, some kind of confirmation that they still love me, they still care, they still want me to take care of them. But you are saying, I'll do whatever you want and not whatever I want, or whatever that is meant to be done at this time. There was a comment. Rebecca says, girl, that was me. I'll do whatever you want. I really thought that was a good wife. That's what a good wife was. Yeah. And that is the scary truth of good girls, that we will literally sacrifice who we are and put everyone else first before ourselves. We would rather starve than see those around us starve. And that's also by nature. As women, we're caregivers and caretakers. And we forget that in order for us to be at our best and perform at our best and be able to provide whatever it is that everybody else wants, that we must take care of ourselves and our needs first before we can be available for anyone else. And then Laura said, we have to trust ourselves. I need my intuition to survive. Working on that. How about changing that phrase to, I need my intuition to thrive instead of survive? Because by word police here, by the way, as I mentioned earlier, by saying that phrase, I need, the first need, I need my intuition to survive. I deserve my intuition to thrive. I am intuition. My intuition is growing and growing and growing and evolving, and it is thriving. So by changing our language, we start to change our world, our internal world, and we start to notice the changes of our internal world externally. As you know, the proof of validation is all around us if we just pay attention. But as the word police, and this is something that I that I am quite good at, I point out the words that are low energy, low vibration. Need is low energy vibration, and survive. Yes, sometimes we might feel that way, but by simply changing the words, just those two words, that changing in your sentence, or what are the other two words, would you or could you, change those two words too, to allow that sentence to be an empowering one, that when you hear it, when you hear it within you, or when you say it outwardly, that it helps you to feel amazing. It helps you to feel good. It helps you to feel worthy of yourself and of your existence in this day and age. What would that phrase be? What would that sound like? Or maybe a couple of ways that you can say that. And then Rebecca said it was programmed in me by my cultural upbringing. Yeah, that's the programming of the good girl, that you gotta take care of your man as if he is your third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh child, or how many kids we all have. But how degrading is that to a man who is, for many women that I work with, is the sole provider, and to be treated or talked about as if he is a child, that's not healthy either. I'm not even going to get into that conversation, but I just want to plant that seed, that by simply referring to our partners as children, how unhealthy that could be. Not just for them, and not just for you, because that creates a lot of a big sense of responsibility within you, but for the relationship, how much power would be taken away. And then that will also change the way you view. I mean, how many of you get thinking about the intimacy of the relationship? If you refer to your partner as a child, you don't want to bring your child into the bedroom. That's not how things work. So taking that out of our vocabulary, which is not on here, but it's coming through because this is where we are at this moment in time, that ability is also important. How we talk, not just to our partners, but about our partners. Language is so important. We will start to create that in our relationship. We will magnify that. Start to notice that more. Laura said, for sure, I knew better than to say it that way when I wrote it. I know you're a smart cookie, but sometimes the words, they come through in that way, so that way you can get a little bit of expertise in what that phrase means to help you in the ways that you are ready to be helped with in this moment in time for you. And then Laura said, want versus need. Thrive works for me over survive for sure. Yeah. So also I would add, want and need, those are actually still low vibration, because want comes from, I want this, but I can't have it. I really, really want this. Whereas I choose, I have, I believe, and most powerful one is I am. So when you say I am intuition, you don't need any other filler words, you don't need any other words. Just saying I am intuition. Because whatever follows the I am, that is what is going to be created. That is what you're breathing life into. So change the I am statements that you currently have to the ones that you deserve and that you actually are. So number 14. Ooh, this one is a good one. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's okay. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Now, I understand that phrase when you're saying it to a child. When a child spilled milk and they're upset, of course you can say that to a child, where it's not a big deal, it's okay. But at the same time, you're teaching that child unhealthy phrases, because then they're going to be using that, right? Those good girls, those good boys are going to be using that phrase to normalize experiences, and they'll take it into every experience that they possibly need to take it into. I feel like they have to use that phrase. So even with your kids, avoiding these phrases, because you're programming your children to say those words, those phrases, because you're reading a book out loud. Saying it's not a big deal, similar to it's fine, this phrase may diminish the significance of your feelings or concerns or of the actual situation at play. So speak the truth that you want to speak. And if your child spilled the milk, how would you approach that without teaching them the language that you don't want them to? Reminding them, it's been a while since my kids, spilled or made mess, things like that. By reminding them, oh, I'm trying to remember how I would say it. Is so the child spilled the milk, and you see that there's mess, and of course you might be annoyed or irritated. Sometimes you might not even have to say anything at all, but just allow the child to deal with that situation. Now, if they're walking away and not saying or doing anything about it, your job is to bring them back and teach them that they have responsibilities. You made a mistake, you made a mess, it is your responsibility to clean it. I can help you, I can guide you here, but it is not my job to clean up after you, because I'm not going to be here for you for the rest of your life. You need to learn how to do these things on your own. Number 15. I want to go through these because I said there was going to be 22, and I'll keep it at 22. I don't want to bother you, but why don't you want to bother them? Nope. Why are you apologizing before you even asked for help? Because by saying I don't want to bother you, you're also reminding the other person that you're bothering them. They might have not even thought of that as a bother, but now that you mentioned that word bother, now I'm bothered. Now I'm bothered and I don't want to help. Nope, not right now. You're giving them something that they don't even need to have. It's like, I remember when we were potty training, one thing I learned is that not to tell your kids what might be, let's say a child is scared to go on the toilet and sit down. There was one phrase that I remember I heard, what, are you scared of the monster inside the toilet? And what I learned from that, I never used that phrase, but I did some research to make sure that I was doing potty training in the best way possible for everyone involved. That by saying a phrase, a child is not even aware that there could be a monster inside the toilet, but now that you've placed a fear onto the child that there might be a monster in there that they never even thought it was possible, that now they become even more afraid of the toilet because there might be a monster in there. You're giving information to the child or to an adult by saying, I don't want to bother you, or that there might be a monster in the toilet that they did not previously have or thought, or might not have even thought of if you just asked for help. Just ask for what you need. And it also says that you're prioritizing others' comfort over your needs, which can result in the unmet expectations and frustrations within you as well. That if you're asking for help, ask for help without minimizing or trying to normalize what you're asking for. And us as mothers and good girls, we need to practice that so much more. Ask for help, and that's that. And if they say no, you're actually not going to feel as bad when they say no, but you will feel much worse when you try to soften the blow by asking, because that's what that phrase is. You trying to soften the blow. I don't want to bother you, but can you help me with that? And they say no, it's going to hurt so much more. And you'll right away go into level 1, and you will become the victim of this situation, of this circumstance, that, why don't you want to help me? Did I ask in the wrong way? I thought it was really nice and respectful and polite, and you still said no? No, you were not respectful of yourself. You didn't think you were worthy of help because the way you asked. So when you ask, can you do this for me? Or go and do this, like clearly delegating. I would like you to go and clean your bedroom. Instead of, I don't want to bother you. I know that you're playing your video game right now, but your bedroom is a mess. Can you go and clean that right now? It's almost like a cat meowing in the background, and you're so used to that sound that you might not hear it anymore. Instead of you saying, your bedroom needs a little bit of attention right now, I would like you to spend 5 to 10 minutes to go and have that straightened out, and then when you're done, you can go back to your video games. Very different results you will get from that, because you're also being assertive in the process, and you're being very clear in what you want from that individual, instead of begging, please see me, hear me, please do what I ask you. State it, and that's it. And also, if giving them time, meaning that if they need a couple of more minutes, okay, need one more second, okay, let's be more realistic with time. How much time do you actually need before you can go and do what I've just reminded you that you need to do? Giving a realistic time, 5 minutes. Is that reasonable? Okay, 5 minutes, I can give you 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, I do not want to come and remind you, because I expect you to be respectful of your responsibilities, your time, and my time as well. I already asked you once, or reminded you once. After 5 minutes are up, I want to see you go without any kind of reminders. Very different, right? Laura said, I know, me too. It takes time. It's a process. We have to encourage ourselves, be patient with ourselves, and celebrate small victories. Yeah, celebrating small victories is actually very, very crucial for our success and the success of others around us as well. Because, like I said earlier, if we want to see change in our life, in our world, we got to be the change sometimes. Rebecca says, I always start with, I hate to bother you, but how does that feel after you've been turned down, after being such a good girl and acknowledging that there's something that you hate to do and yet you're doing it, and that you also don't want to be a bother because you feel like a bother, and then asking them to do something. Debbie says, hashtag live, just had my cuddle time. Ooh, awesome. That actually reminds me of something I learned from a lady I met. Cuddle time is very important in our relationships, where you just sit down and cuddle and hug the person that is important to you. Your kids, your partner. You can get a timer for that. An actual, like a fun sand timer, where you 10, 15, maybe half an hour timer, depending on how much anyone can tolerate. But having a timer, you bring that timer out and everybody knows what this is all about now, right? Cuddle time. Put the timer, flick it over, and get going. Okay, number 16. I'm not good with technology. Labeling yourself negatively in areas of skill can limit personal and professional growth. I know I've done that, and I know sometimes I still do that, because technology is its own being, and it takes quite a bit to learn technology, but I have been getting better with phrasing, especially within myself, of how I view and see and experience technology. But this one I do here, not just within myself, but with others. Quite often I'm not good with technology, because you label yourself incapable or with limited capabilities with a certain skill, which limits you to even becoming better and allows you to continue to play small, and can stop your growth and evolution when it comes to technology itself. Number 17. I don't deserve this. Why? Why don't you deserve this? Who told you that you don't deserve this? And why did you decide to believe them? Why did you decide that you weren't deserving of whatever it is that you say that you don't deserve? You do. Otherwise, you would not have it. Self-deprecating beliefs about worthiness may hinder embracing opportunities or positive experiences. And they often do hinder. When you say, I don't deserve this, when you have good things happening in your life, guess what? Then you don't. But those who believe they deserve whatever it is that they experience, they'll have more and more and more of those things. You do deserve amazing things in your life. You are deserving. You are worthy. You might not feel that in the moment. And if you don't feel that in the moment, your feelings and emotions are literal flags for you to go within and clarify for yourself and for the universe why you don't believe you deserve it. Because it is a program that you have. An unconscious program, your default program. And that only by understanding yourself can you actually do something about it. Can you actually rewrite it and change it to the one that you want, the one that you actually meant to be, who you're meant to be. And by feeling worthy and deserving, you will have more and more and more of that. Number 18, I'm just lucky to be here. Luck has nothing to do with it. It took you a lifetime to get here. A lifetime of blood, sweat, and tears. And a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. So, implying that your presence is undeserved diminishes your achievements and your contributions. It diminishes who you are. You're dimming your light for something or someone who would never understand what your light is and how much it's actually worth. Don't do that. Don't bring yourself down. Don't say that I'm just lucky to be here. You are worthy of being here. If you weren't worthy of being here, you wouldn't be here. You would have been born at a different time, different era. So you are worthy of being here. You are deserving of being here. And the sheer fact that you're still here, that means you have not fulfilled your purpose. You still have a lot of purpose fulfilling to do. And you know this. So get to it. And stop putting yourself down. Number 19. Very similar to one of the other phrases. But I'll do anything to make you happy. I'll do anything to make you happy. Anything for you. Now, I say that as a joke once in a while. Just, somebody asked me, my husband asked me to do something for him. And I'll say, anything for you, darling. Right? Just as a joke. But that phrase, I'll do anything to make you happy, it's very self-sacrificing. Once again, sacrificing personal boundaries for others' happiness can lead to unbalanced relationships. Certain things that are being said, like when I say anything for you, right? That is the truth. Anything for you. But of course, within limits. And saying, I'll do anything to make you happy. Please don't leave. Please don't get upset. Is not a healthy stepping stone in a relationship. Rebecca said, I asked my partner for the rule, kiss before sleep, kiss before out of bed, no matter what. Ooh, I like that rule. And Debbie said, always be learning, 100% always be learning and growing. And where is it? Come on, keep scrolling. And Rebecca says, I often feel that I don't deserve this. I say because I don't feel I'm doing the most with what I have, and I don't have what it takes. You do have what it takes. You are doing the most with what you have. You are a very busy mother, and you got a lot on your plate. It is very, very understandable for you to feel like you're not good enough, because this is what these phrases are saying, that I am not good enough. I don't deserve this. And you say it because you feel that you're not doing most with what you have. You're doing the best with what you have. You're always doing the best. Yes, granted, sometimes the best is not actually the best, but by simply asking ourselves, what could I do better in this situation? And when you identify what you could do better in this situation, then you have a choice, or maybe a couple of choices of what you can do better, and you can choose which one you want to do right now. And if you already, because also by asking that question, you can also identify that you're actually doing your very best right now. There's nothing else that you could do. And that is also very, very clarifying and freeing, that you're already doing your best, and that you're good. You're good with where you are and with who you are for now. That might change later, but you're not living for the later. You're living for the moment. You're living for now. So if now everything is good, also check in with yourself. Are there any fires that you need to put out right now? Because sometimes it might feel like there's fires you need to put out. Is there something else that's more pressing than what you're dealing with right now, or going through, or doing right now? If the answer is yes, then what is it? Lack of clarity and confusion causes these feelings and emotions, by the way. So taking the moment to clarify where you are and what is happening outside of you. What do you feel you being pulled towards or away from? And then leaning into that or leaning away from that, depending on what it is. There we go. I can click on that. Laura said, more programming and stinking thinking we have to unlearn. I don't like the messages on my phone. It keeps scrolling up and down. Okay, we are now at roll up. Laura, more programming and stinking thinking we have to unlearn. I get to feeling like I must deserve being treated like shit. That is probably something that you often, it goes back to the way that you were raised, or a certain time of your life where you went through a really hard time and how you were treated during that time, where it became normal for you to feel like, in order for you to feel worthy and valued, that you were treated like shit, and that was a normal to you, and now you're learning that that's not normal, because it comes from experience where you were treated a certain way and you normalized it, you excused it, and it became, this is what I deserve, this is how things are now, nothing I can do about it. But and then Laura continues, but sometimes people mistreat people and don't mean we don't deserve, but only we can do something about it. Yeah. And also, sometimes people mistreat other people is because they're not even aware that they're mistreating, because they themselves were programmed to accept that kind of treatment, so they don't see the wrong in it. By the way that people talk to you, the way that people treat you, when you start paying attention to that, you start to uncover and see their programming, and they're not aware of what they're doing. And that is often up to the recipient of those behaviors and those actions to help them to see the wrong in it, because if they saw the wrong in it, they would not be doing it. But because they don't see the wrong in it, they continue to do that. Like all of us, if we don't see what we're doing wrong, we'll keep doing that until someone tells us otherwise. And then Debbie said, I'll say, just for you. Yeah, just for you. That actually is a nice phrase, but depending on the circumstances. Meaning that if you're being asked to do something you actually don't want to do, and you say, just for you, which means just for you I'll bend the rules, just for you I'll cross these boundaries, just for you, then that's not a healthy situation. But saying it, you want to do it, and you're doing it because you want to do it, and then saying it as a joke, just for you, or anything for you, then yes, that is just a confirmation to yourself and to the other person that I love you and I want to do this for you. But if you don't want to do this, then don't do it. Say, no, not right now, or give me a couple of minutes. A couple of minutes meaning 2 minutes. Give me a few minutes means 3 minutes. And clarifying that time that you were asking for. Rebecca said, thank you for saying that, Yana. I needed to hear that. You're welcome. I believe it's very important for all of us to be validated. And for me, I really do enjoy validating others and helping others to see their worth and their potential, because they themselves can't see it. Just like for me, there's a reason why I still have coaches, because I'm limited to myself and my mind, which means I'm limited to my own limits. And it takes someone outside of me to point these things out, to remind me of my capabilities and my abilities, and to also help me through it as well. Because it's not everything in life is easy. Most things in life are not easy. And those things in life that are easy, they often make for a very hard life. And if we want to have an easy life, then we got to do the hard things. And the hard things is, what is the one thing that I'm scared of that I can overcome today? What is the one thing that I don't want to do today that I will do today that will bring me closer to my goal, my destination tomorrow? Too many people won't do what they know they must do or have to do until they choose to do it today, to bring themselves closer to who they are aspiring to be and who they're meant to be. And then Rebecca says, thanks for reminding me to live for the now. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. Because now, you already know this, that now is all there is. Now is the only thing that will ever be. That there is no before, there is no after. Now is all there is and all it ever will be. And then Debbie said, when my beat is not good enough for someone, they need to go elsewhere. Yeah. Sometimes we can go elsewhere. Or we can ask somebody else to clean out the space. Let me be here. I don't like your vibe, so let's go. Debbie said, just for you as a gift. Yeah, just for you as a gift. Your love language must be gifts. Probably love giving gifts. See, it helps me to understand you a little bit more, each and every one of you a little bit more, by simply seeing the words appear on the screen. And Kimberly said, hey Kimberly, we have now. With the heart. Yeah, that's all we have now. And that's it. Number 20. Yeah, that's where we are. I can't make decisions. The indecisiveness is normal. That means that there's lack of clarity. But by simply saying I can't make decisions, first of all, the word can't, you're limiting and you're closing yourself off. You're putting a wall up, saying I can't do something. You're right. If you say you can't, you're right. If you say you can, you are right. Whatever you say is the truth. That is the reality. Your reality. My reality. Whoever is the speaker in that particular moment or instance. Saying I can't make decisions, constantly relying on others to make decisions may signal a lack of confidence and independency. That you don't know who you are. And that's why you can't choose. Now, sometimes it might be you're also don't want to choose because you don't want to step on somebody else's toes, or you want to make the other person feel good by saying I can't make decisions. You make that for me. Trying to people please is another reason why sometimes one might say I can't make decisions. So decide for me, giving your power away. But instead, and also another reason might be because if you are the one that makes a decision, you might not want to be held responsible, liable for that decision, and then be punished for it. So maybe as a child, you made quite a few decisions, and you were punished for those decisions, and you have learned that I am no longer going to be making decisions because I don't want to be held responsible or liable for them. So that's why I can't make decisions. But when you start changing that language internally and externally and take your power back by saying, I am the decision maker, and you make decisions regardless of the consequences, then you just embrace the consequences and you learn from them and you do better next time and better next time and better next time. That's why I always will remind each and every one of you the importance of support fortress, having those people to go to help you with whatever it is that you need help in that given moment in time. Number 21, it's probably my fault. Assuming blame without evaluating the situation can lead to unwarranted guilt and self-criticism. It's probably my fault. Well, you can take some responsibility and some fault in whatever has transpired, but you can't take entire responsibility and all the fault from what has happened, because you are not the only person that was involved. There's always someone else that is involved. So by you taking entire ownership and blaming yourself, that is a phrase of level 1, the victim. I can clearly tell that this person is living in the victim energy, in the victim state, and goes through a lot of shame, guilt, embarrassment, a lot of self-criticism, and lives in a world where everything is my fault. I'm just not good enough. Nothing I do is good enough. Nothing I do is worthy. Why do I even bother? Why do I keep trying? No, what's the point? That's where all of that leads to. But whatever has transpired, saying, okay, it's not my fault entirely, but what role did I play in it? How did I contribute? Identifying and clarifying what has happened, transpired, what you're responsible for, taking ownership of that. Those are the things that you would apologize for, right? You're not going to apologize for how somebody else behaved. Don't, even for your children. A lot of mothers will apologize for the behavior of their children. Why? You can educate your child, but you don't have to go and apologize. Yes, in some instances it might be the polite thing to do, or might be the classy thing to do, but in the reality, it might also be demeaning to the child. Because in that apology, you might end up labeling your child, and you might end up putting your child down. And this is a private matter, where it's you and your child. You need to have that conversation to educate your child, to help them understand what's happening. Just like if you and your partner have a misunderstanding or disagreement, you're not going to share with everyone. You're not going to talk about it with everyone at the dinner table. I mean, I hope not. And if you are, I'm going to tell you, your relationship is not going to be a healthy one, and it's not going to go in a good place for either one of you. And you're bringing everybody else into your relationship. It's nobody's business but yours and your partner's. Yes, you might be working with a therapist or psychiatrist or with a coach to help you in your relationship, but you're going to limit it to that. You're not going to bring it out to the public and to everyone else, because it's nobody else's business. Nobody else has, the intention is behind everybody else is in the way that they want to be seen and heard, and they want to help you, but they don't really care how it's going to turn out. Whereas those people who you have invested in, they're there for you, and they want to make sure that you are successful with whatever it is that you have in agreement or a contract with them. So it's like airing your laundry. Back in the day, maybe it was okay to hang your laundry outside for everyone to see, what knickers you wear, what brassieres you wear. But just like the language has changed, so has the way that we dry our clothes. Right? Number 22. This one I hear so often, and I still catch myself with this one as well. I know all of you do too. I can't do this, or I can't do that. I can't do that. Stating limitations without exploring possibilities can hinder personal growth and achievement. And it keeps you playing small. When you say you can't do something, you're cutting off all of the possibilities. And you're limiting yourself in this box that is called and labeled, I can't. It's labeled at the bottom, I can't. It's labeled on top, I can't. It's labeled all the four sides around, I can't. I can't, I can't, I can't. And guess what? Because you can't, you will not be able to see all the possibilities of why or how you can, and you will. So when you catch yourself with this phrase, as you will, write it down. Write down that you said you can't. You can't do what? Write it down. And then ask yourself, how true is that? And then ask yourself again, how true is that really? When did I start believing that I can't do this or that I can't experience this? Who or what gave me that idea? And if I could do that or experience that, how would I go about that? How would I do it? The goal here would be to gain clarity on the situation and to allow the possibilities to reveal themselves, because they're always there. To every problem, there's always at least one solution. At least one. Otherwise, the problem would not exist. It's like yin and yang. Yin does not exist without the yang. The sun does not exist without the moon. The light does not exist without the darkness. Just like the problem. The problem does not exist without a solution. And in many cases, it is more than one solution or opportunity. So if you're feeling stuck, that is your reminder to focus on the internal world and seek clarity, because you're feeling stuck. It's like you're inside the swamp and you're stuck inside the swamp. And in order for you to get out of that swamp, you need to calm down, center yourself, calm your nerves so you can think clearly and look around the swamp for the possibilities, for the opportunities of how you can get out of there. What or who can help you out of there, because you're feeling paralyzed or trapped in whatever it is that you're going through right now. But being calm is how you're going to see clarity. You can't see a reflection of yourself in the waters that are waiting where a storm is. You can't. You need to wait until the storm comes down, until the water becomes solid or smooth, and then you can see your own reflection clearly. That's the same thing for life, in life, with life. That in order for you to see yourself, to see your life clearly, you need to calm your internal waters down, breathe, meditate, go for a walk, clean if that helps you, dance. For women especially, when you're dancing and you're involving your center, your middle section, this is where the grounding and the cleansiness happens. Often what I ask women to do when we start working together is I ask them to dance with their, move your booty, move it around. And what I hear back is that some of them, they start crying and they feel a release that comes through because they're so blocked in their roots. And if you haven't danced for a while, then maybe this is your reminder to go and dance. Shake your booty. and feel better and release the blockages that you have in there. Your sensuality is in there as well. If things are not so, in your intimate life, if you want to spice things up, you gotta get right into your roots and release the blockages, so more can be released through the intimacy. Right? Let me take a peekaboo at any other comments that are in here. Oh, Marlena was on here, just got here. Hello, Sunshine. Hey, Marlena, how are you doing? Decisions are not always easy. That's what Debbie said. There's always a choice. Yeah, 100%. Many decisions are not easy ones, and they're not meant to be easy, because the word decision itself is you're cutting away from possibilities. When you decide, right, almost like they sect, you cut away from all the other possibilities when you make that decision, and there's no going back in most cases. So that's another reason why many people do not want to make a choice, do not want to make a decision, because they don't want to be held responsible or liable for it. Laura said, I had independence down and had to make decisions. Confidence had nothing to do with it. I'm working on that too. Yeah, confidence does have a little bit to do with decisions, but in most cases it does not. It's more so, I guess, knowing what you actually want, clarity itself. That's what helps us to make the decision when we're clear. And then Laura said, and people will gladly let you take all responsibility and no blame too. Oh yeah, better you than me, right? That is the truth. If not you, then who would you suggest? And Laura said, love the story of the little ant and the rubber tree plant. That little old ant had high hopes. I haven't heard of that story, but I would love to hear that story. It sounds like an interesting one. And Debbie said, dance keeps coming up for me. It's been so long. That was a reminder for you then, Debbie. Go and shake that booty and dance and get back into your sensual self. You know it's going to feel good after you do that. Like I said, this is where a lot of us women carry the blockages. And then Laura said, might have to chair dance, but I do love dancing. Hey, a chair dance is still a dance. Whatever dance you want to do, and I'm sure there's going to be some lucky few that would love a chair dance. Right? And then Rebecca said, music and dance for me too. Yeah. Music is so powerful. Everything, frequency, energy is actually music. There's even things you can buy that you put on your plant that you think plants are quiet and silent, but every plant has its own music, has its own frequency, has its own vibration, and it turns into music. Us too, every human being. I've actually heard that there are people, you know how there's different types of empaths, that there's types of empaths who can hear the music of every human being, and they identify, they can tell by the music in the song that a person is, and know who that person is. It's like reading energy, but on a musical level, where they hear music that is Rebecca, music that is Laura, music that is Debbie, music that is Kimberly, music that is Marlena, music that is Yana, music that is Tanya. Who else was in here? Music that is Lori, I saw was on here. Music that is every one of you who watched this video or will watch it later. Each and every one of you, you are your own music, you're your own song. And when you are out of alignment and out of balance and lack clarity, that is, your music is affected, and that's why you feel off. But you feel off because you're not playing to your own tune. And these words, these phrases that are shared with you today I share them with you in hopes of helping you to help yourself to feel and regain your balance, so you can feel like yourself and not try to be someone for everybody else that is not in anybody's what's the phrase, it's not going to help anyone, right? You're meant to be living for you, and yes, granted, you will also be living and doing things for others, but it still needs to be in alignment with you. And if it's not, see why not, and see what you can do about it, and how can you realign yourself with it, or perhaps not at all. So that is all that I have for you all for today. Thank you for being on here with me. I want to leave you with an invitation to, at the very least, check out the Heal the Good Girl quest that I have put together, all the information on there, to see if it is for you, and if you're ready to embark on this 6-week program with me, where I will help you to not only uncover the good girl mold and programming that you have, but to rewrite it and start reprogramming yourself to the one that you actually are and want to be and choose to be. And then let me know how it was for you after the 6 weeks together. 6 weeks is literally a month and a half. So a month and a half of us working close together as a small group, small cohort, to help one another to evolve to the next version of yourself within a month and a half. How amazing would that be? How would your life change after going through something like that, where you get to learn not just from me, but from others that will be in the group as well, and help yourself and help others to grow and evolve, like I said, to that next stage of yourself, next level of yourself. But other than that, thank you everybody for being on here with me. I mentioned most of your names. Those of you who I did not mention, many apologies, and those of you who were silent watchers, hello. And until next time, when we see each other tomorrow at 1:30 Eastern Time in our Facebook group, Heal the Unicorn Spiritual Awakening for Women, where Bethany and I will be going live for our Heal the Unicorn podcast. And the topic for tomorrow will be how to heal after a loss of a friend or a pet. Because healing and grieving is not a linear process, and we will help you to get that started, get that going, and understanding loss and understanding grief as well, and how it comes through for you and through you. Anyways, that is all, and until we see each other tomorrow in the group, bye everybody.